We had anticipated this day for some time. Ever since my childhood, playing in the streets of Nazareth, my family had heard the ancient prophecies of the coming Messiah, the one who would save us, the one who would heal us. And now on that day, we all watch as that one man, Jesus, entered our city. He wasn't what anyone expected. A simple man, really, just like one of us. I could not begin to understand all that he said or did or meant. And truthfully, I doubt if any of us really understood him at all. John was the first to tell us of his arrival.
He comes! He comes! Prepare the way! 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 For Jesus the Messiah, the King. He comes! Prepare the way! He comes! Prepare the way! Hosanna in the highest, the King. Could he be the one the prophet spoke of long ago? Is he really who he says he is? And will we ever know?
I come to bring the truth. I come to show the way. I come to shine the love of God today. I come to heal the sick. I come to set you free. I come so you might follow me.
Could he touch me with his healing hands and make me see?
Is he really who he says he is? And will he set us free? He comes!
Prepare the way!
He comes!
Prepare the way!
Hosanna in the highest, the King.
One man stops a mighty wind. One man reaches out his hand and the crowds are fed. Oh, when will I begin to understand one man? One man claims to be the Lord. One man speaks to us with words filled with power and love. Oh, when will I begin to understand one man? Was it me who said that I would gladly follow him? Was it he who said that he would wash away my sin? What does it take to follow him? One man has been set apart. One man looks within the heart and he sees the pain. Oh, when will The arrival of Jesus turned our city upside down. Not all at once, of course, but it didn't take long for the politicians and some of the holy leaders to begin feeling threatened by him. And to be honest, I really can't say I blame them. I mean, he was going throughout the cities and from house to house, performing all sorts of miraculous signs and wonders. People who had been sick were made well. Men who couldn't walk got up and walked. There was a woman who had been bleeding for several years. Her bleeding completely stopped, simply as a result of touching the hem of Jesus' robe. And he didn't stop there. Deaf people could suddenly hear. Blind people could finally see. Those who were stricken silent found themselves talking. He had this power. And when we asked him about it, he told us that he and God were one and the same. Quite an amazing claim, really, and somewhat difficult for me to believe. And it didn't sit well with the governing officials. After that, things began to happen quickly. We had spent all of our time with Jesus, me, James, Peter, John, and the others. Wherever he went, we were there with him. And huge crowds of people followed after us. Some were hoping to be healed, and others, I think others just wanted to be near him. There was something very attractive about him. For 3 years, we traveled with Jesus, watching him perform miraculous feats, like the time he fed thousands with just a lunch of bread and fish, or when he raised Jairus' daughter from the dead. And there was the time he walked across the Sea of Galilee. I mean, all of these things, they were amazing. Most of our time was spent listening to him. We had never heard anyone speak the way he did, ever. We hung on every word and anxiously looked forward to the things he spoke of. Yet, deep inside, still struggled with thoughts of confusion and even anger. Then one day, I was approached by some of the officials.
Where will we find him? Where will we find him? Where will we find him, Judas? Where will we find him? This man called Jesus. Where will we find him, Judas?
I know a secret place, a place he likes to go. I know that he will be there tonight. If you will follow me, I'll take you to that place. The one to whom I give a kiss is who you seek.
Where will we find him? Where will we find him? Where will we find him, Judas? Where will we find him? This man called Jesus. Where will we find him, Judas?
I'll take you to him. I can't begin to explain it. What led me to consider betraying the man I had faithfully followed for 3 years? Was it greed? Anger? Pride? These were the emotions I was dealing with. Not to mention the fact that Jesus was not really what anybody expected him to be. We wanted a king. Yet, his claims were not without some truth. But now, somehow, all that I had heard and felt and had seen just during my 3 years with Jesus didn't seem to matter that much. It was like I'd never spent any time with him at all.
One of you will betray me. One of you will lie. One of you will betray me. With a kiss you will send me to the cross to die.
One man has been set apart. One man looks within the heart and he sees the pain. Oh, when will I begin to understand? One man.
One of you will betray me.
Has been set apart.
One of you will lie. One of you will betray
looks
me.
within the heart.
With a kiss you
and he
will send
sees
me
the
to the
When
cross
will I begin
to
to understand?
die.
One man. One I made a choice, a decision. That's all. It was a mistake, something anyone could have made. Except, not just anyone made that decision. I was the one who betrayed Jesus. And for what? A small fortune? 30 pieces of silver? The thought still makes me sick inside. Inside, voices call to me. Anger I can't hide, reaching out to me. What am I devising? Could I be disguising fear with loyalty? But they had said that they would pay me if I just betray the man from Galilee.
30 pieces of silver, 30 pieces of silver, 30 pieces of silver, 30 pieces of silver.
30 pieces of silver. Not a bad wage for such a simple task. I mean, look at it from their point of view. Jesus was causing all sorts of trouble. Sometimes it seems like he was seeking trouble. Don't you see that? Don't any of you see that? What would you have done? I mean, how many pieces of silver would it have taken for you to accept the job? What would it take? What would it really take for any of you to do what I did and betray Jesus? You know, I've often wondered if I weren't more honest than the rest of them. I heard the secret conversations from some on the fringe. Not everyone liked him, you know. Not everyone felt compelled to follow his teachings. So don't sit there and think that some of you might have taken far less than 30 pieces of silver to do what I did. Don't start thinking that what I did was so horrible. So horrible. Oh God. Oh Jesus. How could I have ever betrayed you? Oh God.
We thought that he would take a stand. We thought that Jesus would come through. We thought that's all he had to do. So Israel would be released, and their oppressors might would cease. Judas, Judas, Judas. We thought that Jesus would fight back. We thought the heavens would attack. We silent sound is all we heard, and Jesus would not say a word. It's Judas planted seeds are sown, but Jesus' mission was his own. Judas, Judas, Judas. We
The years a man spends walking on the earth are short. And you don't really spend much time considering what happens after you die. The anguish I felt tore me apart. Jesus was someone I had called my friend, and he had called me his friend. But I signed his death warrant that night when I betrayed him with a kiss. And after it was over, they took him away. All I was left with was 30 pieces of silver covered in his blood. It could have been 30,000 pieces of silver and would not have made a difference. What was done was done. In my guilt, I tried to give the money back, hoping it might put right the wrong that I had done, but it was too late. They simply laughed at me and went ahead with their plan. Jesus was on his way to a cross, and I was the one to blame. I guess I saw no other solution than to do what I chose to do. You don't really consider what happens after you die, but now I know what happens. You remember, and I remember, and relive the events of that horrible night over and over again. They are indeed for me my own living hell. Crucified my friend, and now one man must die as one condemned.
Judas, Judas, look at what you've done.
No! I was able to witness the ensuing events from a place I cannot describe. Not because I am unable to, but because it is too terrible to talk about. I watched as Jesus was taken before Pilate and condemned and stripped of his clothes. They crowned him King of the Jews with a ring of thorns that tore into his scalp. And I watched as he dragged that heavy cross up to the top of Golgotha, a cross that he was eventually nailed to, a cross that in many ways I had helped build. And I watched as his friends and family saw them drop that cross in the ground in such a way that the skin on his palms began to rip apart. And I watched as they mocked him and taunted him and made a fool out of him. Such cowards, such naive cowards. I watched as they crucified Jesus, the Christ, the Son of the living God. the Messiah.
Friends, Jesus was crucified. As we step into this time of giving our offerings over to the Lord, let's remind ourselves that his act of sacrifice actually bought our freedom from sin and death, our freedom from brokenness. He bought this by paying with his own life on the cross for us, a price that we should have paid. And so as we give of our tithes and offerings this evening, as the offering comes before you, let that be a spiritual moment, a moment of rededicating your life back over to this God who has given his life for yours. And so with that, I would like to invite the ushers forward for our tithes and offerings.
My life on earth ended long ago. A choice was made, and now I exist with the bitter taste of betrayal in my mouth and the memory of 30 pieces of silver clinking in my pockets. Life changes in the flash of a moment. A decision made today, right at this moment, will affect the rest of your life. Someone has said that everything has its price. For me, it was 30 pieces of silver. For Jesus, it was his precious, precious life. And for you, that's for you to decide. One man has been set apart. One man looks within the heart, and he sees the pain. When will I begin to understand one man? Did I really know one